So welcome to the editorial board. Please identify yourself, tell us which office you seek, and tell us a little bit about your background and your platform.
Okay, my name is Joe Wesley Norris. Most people know me as Wes. I seek the office of City Council for the City of Bonita Springs, District 5. I have lived in District 5 before it became District 5. I've been in Bonita Springs approximately 32 years, and I have lived in that area 32 years. Property owner and actively involved in my community. I do a lot of civic work through the Optimist organization. I also do work out at the Flesher Farm where we have all the Christmas lights. I've been out there 20 years helping those people. If you bring your kids out and you talk to Santa Claus with a southern accent, that would be me. So I'm very active there. I'm active in our civic organization, as I spoke up just now. I do respectful all camp with the Fort Myers Police Department, where we bring in 130, 140 kids for a 4-day overnight camp with the Fort Myers Police Department. I've been doing that 25 years. Also active again in my civic group with the junior golf. I do a lot of work with junior golf, and just a real quick thumbnail. In the last 2 weeks of July, we will bring in 630 junior golfers from all over the world, and I mean that literally. We'll have 38 countries represented in probably 48 states. We take over PGA National, where they play the Honda Classic. We take that over for 2 weeks, and it is a great deal to walk out in the morning and see over 300 kids out on the putting range or putting green on the range. But I've also served 11 years on the zoning board in Bonita Springs. I will be the only candidate that I think, other than Steve Slatka today, that you can go and look and see what I have said through the years, what my positions are through the years, and on some of the zoning issues. Some of them are fairly straightforward, and some of them are contentious. So if people are interested in knowing what I am and can listen to what I say instead of listening to what other people say about me, there's a great spot for them to do that. I've also appeared on a Sunday morning talk show here a while back, a couple of years ago. If anybody want to go look and see that interview, there was probably some of the same issues then as they are now. That is one thing that I would like to see our city government do, is move a little quicker, a little faster on some issues. You know, we get bogged down sometimes, and when we're bogged down, we are affecting other people's lives as we're making decisions. And some of those people need those decisions made so they can move forward. So I think that's one thing we need to do. I'm business friendly, business oriented. Everybody can say that, but I believe that we need to work with businesses through our Economic Development Council and try to get those businesses to come into our community. Even though Hertz is not, quote, inside the city limits of Bonita Springs, it cannot help but help this entire metropolitan area. So those are the kind of things. In Bonita itself, I would like to see more stable businesses. For years, we, of course, made our living with construction. We made our living with tourists. And as we see, I never pronounced this word correctly, it's cyclical. Up and down, up and down. I'd like to see us on a more steady type of businesses in our community, small manufacturing, mom and pop operations. And I think we need to try to seek some of those businesses in our community. I am property owner for people's property rights. You know, I think if it's your property to an extent, now I don't think you should be able to put a mobile home in Bonita Bay, but I think you should be able to have your property. If you have vested interest in it, you should be able to use that vested interest in that property. Those are the things that, in a nutshell. And again, I'll be glad to answer questions. Sometimes my answer is yes or no.
When you talk about moving quicker, some issues involving people, who are you talking about specifically?
Okay, I'll give you an example. I think Lowe's, they was trying to come in to Bonita Springs. Lowe's came in, went through zoning issues, zoning board passed, goes to city council. City council, that period of time between you have the zoning and have city council is a period of time. City council votes no, turns down the recommendation of the zoning board. So it's another process. City council then at that time decides they would like to revisit that issue. So they bring it back to the city council. City council at that time votes yes. And that time our economy begins to soften, and then Lowe's in the long run says no. So to me, that period of time was an issue, and that's just one example that we perhaps could have had. Where the Lowe's would have built, where the Lowe's would have been successful, where the Lowe's would have done great things, but not been 350, 400 jobs that we lost there. And I think that's the kind of thing. We need a one-stop shop for businesses instead of having to go to the fire department. And I think we've done that in Bonita and trying to tweak that better. Instead of going to the fire department for this or going over here for that, we come to one place, we sit down, and we talk and tell people how to, one place, one stop and shop.
Does that exist now or no?
That exists now. We need to push that harder. It is being used and tweaked into our government in Bonita. Yes, sir.
One thing that's taken a long time to get going is 041 downtown redevelopment.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any ideas to move that along?
Yes, sir. The City Council today, on its second reading, just passed a ordinance to borrow $13 million and to put with that another $3 million, which would give us a $16 million to be spent on infrastructure downtown. They want to improve the sidewalks, they want to improve the roads, they want to improve the draining, and those are the areas that that money is designated for. They also, if they need to, say, purchase some land to improve the drainage, they have that ability. Those are the four areas of that $16 million. And that's with an interlocal agreement with Lee County. So Lee County will also be picking up some of that payback. That's over a 25-year period, if I understand correctly. I think if you have that infrastructure and you have the cleanup, you will have other business perhaps interested in that. I would see a core part of downtown. We've been doing downtown 15, 16, 17 years. If we took an area, say, around the park area, maybe and really concentrated on that area, trying to get businesses in, mom and pop restaurants, art places where you can go and view art, and then spread out from there. If you want to make it a walking downtown, you can't, in my opinion, put a place over by, say, the dog track and expect those people to walk then all the way back down to the end of town. So I think you build that nucleus. You concentrate on that, say, 4-block area and then try to go out from there. Yes, sir.
Wes, are you saying that the city should take the lead and the city should put together this piece of land and then make it available to the private sector? Should the city lead to that extent?
I don't know if the city should lead to, say, purchasing land for a business. I'm not sure that we want to get in the real estate business. We've been in that real estate business. If you notice, we still have some property there by the river, on both sides of the river and downtown.
But when you say we should or
I'm
you
talking,
should,
yeah, I'm speaking from the city standpoint there, if I'm answering that correctly.
I want to make sure I get your point. Please.
Yes, sir. My point is, if we want to give initiative for a business to come in there, 1 to 5 years tax relief, waiver of impact fees. Those are things that perhaps could be on the table to encourage a business to come into our community. But for us to go out and buy a piece of property and turn that over to a business, I don't think I should do that. I don't think I should upfront money for a business to come in. I believe Lee County got into a little bit of a jam here a few years ago where they gave a business X amount of dollars and the business never showed up, if I remember that ordeal correctly. If the city wanted to do that, and this is an if, the city chooses to do that, you would do something like that in increments. We will, if you come in and you do this, we will help with that. But I think that we need to encourage that. It's tough enough on businesses today small businesses to come into a community. It's a lot of outlay of money. So you need to try to, from my standpoint, we need to try to help as much as we can. Now, help is spelled H-E-L-P in Southern. I just say help, you know. But anyway, that's the way
Wes, you've been in government for a long time. Do you feel the city operates as transparent as it should be?
Yes, sir. And the reason I say that, we're all under the Sunshine Law, of course. Once in a while, somebody may make a statement. I know is when I sit up on the zoning board, if I make a note, anyone in this room can just walk up and pick that note up off my desk. So I think we are very careful with that. And I know in some instances there has been some people prosecuted for violating that Sunshine Law. And I don't think we've had any problems in our community not operating in the sunshine.
What do you feel most proud of having done on the zoning board? And what's been your biggest success and your biggest regret?
Well, those was one of my regrets. We actually lost one of our good zoning members. Resigned over the fact that the city council did not follow our ruling there. Many years ago, I don't know if you would remember when we had Ronto with the school situation. I thought that was one of our better deals, where we sort of held their feet to the fire, where they had promised the school board XYZ, and then they did not want to do XYZ, if I'm remembering that correctly. But we ended up saying, yes, you will do XYZ for the if you want this zoning, you've got to live up to your end of the deal. I think that was good. My opinion on that zoning board is I'm the chair. Sometimes I will tell the people when they're there, you may not get what you want here today, but when you leave here today, I want you to be able to say, I had a fair hearing and they listened to what I say. And that's my goal as the chair or as I sit on that zoning board. I don't want people to feel like they got shortchanged in what they were trying to accomplish. So,
Can we keep the zoning discussion going?
Sure.
Further out of town,
further out of town?
to the DRGR.
Yes, sir.
Understand that you take a more progressive approach than you.
Well, see, here's, and I want this to be explicit, very explicit.
Here's your chance.
Here's my chance. There are people, I've worked in the construction business all my life. I made a living out of it, no question. Am I for going out to the DRGR tomorrow and pushing that dirt aside and start construction out there? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. When the idea came up of putting together the 7-member people to see how that can be developed, if it can be developed in Bonita Springs, we have that group together now. Mm-hmm. I rose and said I was in favor of that. Let's see what they have to say. You know, one thing I have learned through the years is, as I get a packet for zoning, and I read that packet and I'm thinking, you know, X, Y, Z, but when I go and I listen to what people have said to me, I may go in a different, my mindset may change. So I don't want people to put words in my mouth that I'm for going out there tomorrow and developing. Okay?
Who said that?
Oh, there's people that say that.
Because of your ties to the construction.
Because of my ties. And I just want, what I said to a group last evening, if you got a question about where I stand, please call me. I'll come look you in the eye and tell you where I stand. If anybody's out there saying things about me, I want to have the record straight. Tomorrow, 750 plus or minus homes could be built out there. They have one in 10
right.
is already can be built. They can go out there tomorrow and start putting in septic tanks, start going out there and putting in wells. Okay. There's certain other types of buildings that can be put out there, recreational type stuff. The YMCA is in the DRGR. That was a zoning board issue when it came to put the YMCA. Most of the development south of Bonita Beach Road, east of 75, was at one time in the DRGR. You know, so can it be done? I'm waiting to see what this group comes up with and how it can be done.
I thought that maybe with somebody with your track record and experience and all kinds of different stuff, that by now you would have an opinion.
Is it going to be developed?
No, we know it is.
Okay, we know it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be developed somewhere along the line. The question is, what are you going to have to change in the the land development code to get it done? That's an issue that's got to come before the council, and it hopefully will come out of this group. You've got to do this to protect the water, and you've got to do that to protect the water. You've got to do X, Y, Z, and that's what this group is looking at. That's what they're looking at. Am I for growth? And that's basically what we're speaking of here today. Yes, I'm for growth. I'm for smart, intelligent growth. I'm not for growth's sake. We have a jewel in our community that is one of the jewels of the state of Florida, in my opinion, Bonita Bay. That development is outstanding. Why can't we have outstanding development? So that may not answer the question, and I don't mean to straddle the fence here, but I also not going to say, yeah, I'm going to vote for it, or yeah, I'm going to not vote for it. I want to see what comes out. I'm not going out there tomorrow. First of all, what developer is going out there tomorrow and try to develop something he can put one unit on 10 acres? None that I know of. You got a long way to go before that developer is going to say, I would like to develop that piece of property. But will it be developed? Yes, it will. Eventually, yes, it will.
Contractors, is there a record, do you have a record of having voted against pro-development and construction industry projects as a member of the board?
I have a record? No. I would not say I have a record that shows that I vote against. I take each individual.
Well, have you voted against? Let's put it that way. Have you voted against?
Ever? Gosh, over 11 years, I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember voting against one.
Okay.
There's 5 elements to whether you approve a zoning or not, as you well know. And if those people pass those 5 elements, it's hard to say no, because that's the way the system is set up. Is it harmful to the community? There's 5 steps. Are they entitled to it? Is this the least amount of changing that they can ask for? And if they pass all those elements, it's difficult to sit up there and say, no, you can't do that. I like to try to meet compromises. Developer wants that, and staff wants this. Can we meet somewhere? Can we solve this thing? Can we make everybody? Sometimes you cannot do that. You do not have that ability to make everybody happy. We know that. But I try to get to that middle ground and move forward from there if we possibly can.
Does Bonita Springs have it right in terms of contracting with the sheriff for police protection?
Yes.
And having an independent fire district cover the fire within its
Yes.
borders, both cases?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a simple question, simple answer. Yes, I think they have it right, correctly. If we're going to stay government-light, we need to stay government-light.
How would you make your mark as a member of the council? How would you differentiate yourself so it doesn't look like, wasn't just part of the slate, man, he's just one of the rubber stamps here?
Seeking information, seeking both sides of the issue, be an independent thinker, being able to get to the bottom line of what the question is, if that makes any sense, because sometimes it's the fluff and we get lost in the fluff when the bottom answer to the question is this. And when I was off the zoning board for a couple of years and then was asked to go back on, and when I left the zoning board, I received a letter from the city that said, and you guys I think might have printed this somewhere along the line, that I had the ability to get down to that when everybody else was not down to that. I listen to people. I not only hear them, I listen to them. And I think that's a big difference. I'm just a common sense kind of guy, and a lot of times that's what it boils down to, just common sense. Let's look at it like a reasonable person would look at something and make a decision like a reasonable person would make that decision. Okay, you got a question?
Do you have a you can tell?
Yes.
Do you have a common sense vision for what should be in the future for the Everglades Wonder Gardens?
Everglades Wonder Gardens? I have personally, this might get me in trouble, I have personally never set foot in the Wonder Gardens. Never have set foot. I cannot, again, it's a personal deal. I do not like to see animals where they don't, they're not in quote unquote their natural being. I don't like to see a lion in a cage, not saying they have them. That's just, I never went to a zoo because I just don't like that. But that's me personally. There's probably a great deal of potential there for some businessmen, yes. But if you're going to continue to be the Wonder Garden, sorry, again, I'll get in trouble, but I just can't handle that.
But isn't there going to be hasn't there been an event there with the 3 prior mayors?
No, there's going to be an event there.
So you're going to see the Wonder Garden?
Oh, no, I won't go inside.
What?
We're outside. I'm going to leave that with you. We're setting it up outside.
Because of your...
No, that's just the way they made the arrangements.
Oh.
Yeah. I would go, I'm not backing off. I won't go in there and look at animals. I won't do that. But if they have a function and we step inside the door, then that's to me, different. I can't go and look at those animals. I want to see that alligator out where he belongs. I want to see those other animals where they belong.
So your fundraiser event with the 3 prior mayors is going to be held out in the parking lot?
Yes, we will do that outside.
That's the picture I saw. I'm going, wait a minute.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the propaganda that I brought.
For our newcomers, what did you do in the construction industry? Are you still doing it? Are you retired?
Semi-retired. I still work.
What do you do?
I work for a small-time developer. We did places like Morton Grove, which is out east, which accidentally is in the DRG too. I did worked down on the beach. We built several homes down. As you go into the state park there in Lely, we did all those last 13 homes there on the right-hand side. We developed that. We developed several small developments, one off Pennsylvania Avenue. I mean, we probably did, in the 20-odd years I worked there, maybe 1,000, 1,500 residents or maybe more. We did some development there by the dog track. There's an office building, a couple office places there. I worked there. Swift, used to be Swift Oil Company. There across where you got the Swift Oil tanks, did that. Did some commercial buildings, but that's been my background in that area. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
What is your stance concerning Bonita's efforts to annex portions of Pelican Land Bank?
Okay. I think they're doing the right thing in giving a referendum. I think there's somewhat of a misconcept of where the Bonita Springs goes out and asks people to annex. If they come to us, we can talk to them. I think they should have the ability to vote whether they want to come into the city or not. That is an unusual situation where you got part of it in the city and part of it not in the city. So that's a little bit unusual. But I think the referendum, I believe, is coming up next month. I believe it is in February. Right. And I think that's the way to handle that. Let them vote whether they want to come in or stay in unincorporated Lee County at this time.
Which, of course, leads to the next question.
Sure.
If the situation with the annexation has put Bonita at odds with its neighbor to the north, Estero, where do you stand in their efforts now to incorporate as a result of the move to annex?
Well, I think that is a little bit of a figment of some people's imagination. I don't think we're standing in their way any longer. We're glad that, my personal view is, if they want to become a city, more power to them. God bless them. I hope it works good for them. I have nothing negative to say about Estero trying to become a city. There's probably some people that think that we have fought it tooth and nail, and we have not. We've even, as far as I know, have not even pushed the issue of the 2-mile buffer. I think it's a gone conclusion that they're going to seek incorporation up there in Bonita Springs. I would not stand in the way, and that's who I'm speaking for today. I would not stand in the way of that. Now, I think the people who are contiguous, the developments that are contiguous to our boundary, should be able to vote to where they want to go to Estero or come to Bonita. I think they should have the right to vote on that issue.
Meaning the buffer.
Yes, sir. Meeting in the buffer. Yes, that is correct. But as you know, they have to be contiguous
Right.
to us before they can even do anything.
But as it stands now, there's not going to be a vote like that.
No. As far as I know, as it stands now, there will not be a
In a
vote.
perfect world, there would be.
In a perfect world, I think they should be able to vote, yes, I do, where they want to go. Yes.
The issue of open gambling, slots and stuff, like, where do you stand on that?
Okay. I have said this last night in where I go to church. The minister was there, and I told him, I said, you're probably going to throw me out of the church today, but we go 45 minutes from here, and we can do all the gambling we want. We can drive 2 hours up north and do all the gambling you want. You can drive over to Miami and do all the gambling you want. Why not, would be my question. It's my understanding from, not directly, but indirectly from Sheriff Scott, that it typically does not add that much of a crime situation. I don't know if you went over to Immokalee, was there more crime or after the casino was put in? It's a good question. I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that. But I don't believe that brought in a great deal of crime. I don't think slots would bring in, and according again to our law enforcement agency, he doesn't anticipate that either. And I don't want to speak for the sheriff, but please understand I'm not speaking for him. But I understand that is his view. So I would be in support of slots or gambling in our area. Yes, sir.
Wes, we're almost out of time. Does
Okay.
one of our members have a last question or?
The question we've been asking, I mean, if you had to say something to a prospective voter to choose you, what is the reason? What reason would you give them to choose you as their future councilman?
Okay, I think we hit those highlights, but I wouldn't do that again. I think my common sense approach to issues, I think my ability to listen, I think through the years with the boards that I have worked on, I can work to achieve a consensus of opinions. I think the experience that I have on zoning board, it puts me in a little positive position, whether you agree with my votes or not. I did learn a lot there. So I think it's the experience. I know my community. I've lived here for many, many years. I've lived here more than I've lived anywhere else, as a matter of fact. So I chose to make Bonita Springs my home, raise my family here, and I think I have a lot to bring to that table. I do, from those 4 or 5 points. Yes, ma'am.
Wes, you may have people come, there likely may be people appearing before the council if you're elected who you've done business with, or, how are you going to handle that?
Okay, sir. Okay. I think we had a question last time, and where someone that has a contract with the city was in support of a certain candidate. And if I had to use his support, even though it would probably be very good for me if I had his support publicly, I would ask him not to support me. Because when that conflict comes before city council, I want to have a clear thing. Mm-hmm. Now, people that have sent me checks or sent me some money, are they going to ever come before city council? If I have a conflict and feel like it's a conflict, I will lay it on the table and ask, should I be excused from the vote? Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it very much, guys. I would like to have your support. I'm asking for it, so thank you very much.
Thank you.